Yesterday, in part one of this series, which I've linked above, I told you how even high achievers who want to do things really, really well and who get pretty stressed out and pissed off if they feel like they're not doing things really, really well, even high achievers can inadvertently cap their own performance if their brain gets stuck below the line or it gets stuck in a threatened, fearful state. If you haven't listened or read to part one of the series yet, I want you to go back and read it or listen to it before continuing. Otherwise, this might not make a lot of sense. I've linked part one above. Now let's jump into part two. Your brain's protective mechanisms are kind of like your body's immune system. There's nothing wrong with having protective mechanisms in your brain, just like there's nothing wrong with having an immune system in your body. And there's also nothing wrong with your brain's protective mechanisms getting activated sometimes, just like there's nothing wrong with your body's immune system getting activated sometimes. The problem is when your brain gets stuck below the line, when your brain gets stuck in a threatened and fearful state. That is the mental equivalent of having an autoimmune disease. When you have an autoimmune disease, your immune system starts attacking healthy tissue instead of pathogens, and then the mechanism that's supposed to keep you healthy is now making you sick. The exact same thing happens when your brain gets stuck below the line, when it gets stuck in that threatened and fearful state. The system that's supposed to be protecting you is now causing problems instead of solving problems. Now, your brain getting stuck below the line is completely normal. This happens to every single human being that has ever been alive, and it doesn't mean that you automatically have a chronic anxiety problem or deep unresolved trauma or any other scary diagnosis. There are two simple phenomena that keep your brain stuck below the line or stuck in a threatened state. They are self-fulfilling prophecy and confirmation bias. Let's walk through this with an example. Let's say you started a new job recently and you haven't delivered any big wins yet, and you feel like you're on shaky ground with your new boss. And your brain is full of fearful thoughts. It's full of fearful framings like, my boss isn't happy with me. I'm not sure if I'm qualified to be here. They're going to find out that I have no idea what I'm doing. And all those thoughts send your brain below the line. They send your brain into a threatened and fearful state. Now, in part one of the series, we covered the common protective responses that your brain will tend to have when it's in this threatened state. And I've got the visual that I showed you there as well. So if you're listening to the audio, come watch the video and you can see the visual too. This is some of the protective responses your brain might have when it's below the line. You might overwork and just spend all hours of the day, all hours of the evening, all hours of the weekend just trying to prove yourself to your boss. You might also procrastinate and just do anything and everything you could possibly do except your work. You might give up and just feel really heavy and depressed and like it's not even worth trying because you're just going to fail. You might try half-heartedly, kind of telling yourself the whole time that this isn't even possible, you can't do it anyway, but you're just going through the motions. Or you might also freeze. You might just be sitting at your computer, unable to get started like a deer in headlights. Now, what happens next if you engage in one of those protective responses? Now, if you try half-heartedly, or you give up, or you procrastinate, or you freeze, these three quadrants of the matrix, all of your fearful thoughts, your thoughts like, my boss isn't happy with me, and I'm not sure if I'm qualified to be here, and they're going to find out that I have no idea what I'm doing, all those thoughts are going to become self-fulfilling prophecies. Of course, your boss won't be happy with you, and you won't demonstrate your full capabilities and full qualifications if you're frozen, or if you're procrastinating, or if you give up, or if you're trying half-heartedly. This is the first way that your brain accidentally gets stuck below the line. This is the first way that a quote-unquote healthy immune response turns into an unhealthy autoimmune disease. The protective mechanism that your brain chooses to neutralize the threat actually makes the threat worse, aka self-fulfilling prophecy. Now let's say your brain chooses the overworking protective response. Surely that will resolve the threat and get you back above the line, right? Unfortunately, even if you go into the overworking protective response, you can still end up with your brain stuck below the line because of confirmation bias. How often have you worked super hard and done a ton of stuff only for your brain to tell you that it's still not good enough? How often do you find yourself saying things like, yeah, that meeting went okay, but it could have been better in all these ways? Or, yeah, I did make some progress, but you know what? I should have done more. Or even saying something like, I mean, the work I've gotten done, that's just baseline. That's not that impressive. The reality is that you are making progress thanks to your overworking, thanks to this protective response, but your brain is just not seeing it because it's locked in confirmation bias. It is so busy confirming the beliefs. My boss still isn't happy with me. I'm still not sure if I'm qualified to be here. They're still going to find out that I have no idea what I'm doing, no matter how much evidence there might be to the contrary. This is the second way that your brain can get stuck below the line. The second way it can get stuck in that threatened state. It's the second way that a healthy immune response turns into an unhealthy autoimmune disease. In this case, your brain's protective mechanism makes you so vigilant that you keep seeing evidence of the threat everywhere, no matter what you do, aka confirmation bias. Now, I just want to say this one more time. It is normal for your brain to get stuck below the line. Everybody experiences self-fulfilling prophecies. Everybody experiences confirmation bias. None of this stuff means that something is wrong with you. This is how healthy human brains work. And the other thing I want to tell you is that your brain has auto-toggled from below the line to above the line on its own plenty of times. Yes, self-fulfilling prophecies and confirmation bias can keep your brain stuck below the line longer than is helpful. But I'm not trying to tell you that you spent the last 20 years below the line in a threatened state and I'm the only one that can save you. It's nothing like that. Your brain moves between these two states on its own already. My only goal is to give you more control over that switch so that you can toggle it on demand instead of waiting for it to magically happen all on its own. To go back to the immune system analogy, sometimes you get a fever and it resolves on its own. That's your brain going below the line for a little bit and then coming back above the line on its own. And sometimes you get a fever and it runs so high that it's dangerous for your body. And you need to take some Tylenol or go to the doctor or do some other kind of external intervention to prevent the fever from hurting you. That's your brain getting stuck below the line and inadvertently hurting you instead of helping you. And then you need to use some coaching tools to manually pull your brain back above the line. So how do you actually toggle that switch? That is what we're going to cover tomorrow with the 5 R's of bringing your brain back above the line. Make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter so you don't miss a thing. You can subscribe at poojav.substack.com, or I've also included the link above. Or even easier, just come talk to me and let me help you. You can drop by anytime for a no strings attached coffee chat. Here's how they work. You tell me what's on your mind, what problem you're facing that's got you feeling stressed out or stuck, and then I'll help you pull your brain from below the line to above the line so you can see the best way to handle your situation. And I can also give you some advice based on the hundreds of hours I have spent coaching high achievers just like you in very similar situations. And then once our call's done, off you go on your merry way, unstressed and unstuck. The link to book a free coffee chat is above. Or you can also book a consult call and we can map out what a full coaching engagement might look like. Because I can pull your brain from below the line to above the line one time in an hour, but I can't teach you the whole toolkit for doing that consistently and repeatedly in just 1 hour. But I can teach you that toolkit over the course of an entire coaching package. And the sooner you learn the skill, the sooner you are going to create the life and the career that you actually want, one that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. Let's start today. The link to book a free consult call is above, or if you're listening on Instagram, all the links are in my bio, or if you're listening on the podcast, all the links are in the episode description.